Yes, so recording is live. So thank you everyone for joining in on today. This is day 6 of the AI immersion study, holiday study group or holiday study program. I'm going to do like a quick running on the daily check-ins for today and housekeeping rules. And let's go. So AI Camp is a global AI developer community of 400,000 plus AI developers from 150 plus countries. We empower every developer to learn and practice AI from anywhere at any time. So our local communities are spread across 50 cities and 15 countries. In North America, we're in Seattle, San Francisco, NYC, Boston, Toronto, Chicago, Atlanta, Austin, and 20 other cities. In Europe, we're in London, Paris, Berlin, Tel Aviv, Madrid, Amsterdam, Dublin, and Zurich. In the APAC region, we're in Bangalore, Hyderabad, New Delhi, Sydney, Melbourne, Singapore, and China, and other cities around. So if any of the cities that we mentioned, yeah, just look out for events upcoming in your city. And how do you get involved? So you can join our community of builders, community of volunteers, and to organize events, to set up programs and activities. You can also submit a topic to speak. So if you have like an interesting topic you want other members of the community to be a part of, you can submit a topic to speak. We invite you up on stage for our in-person event and also for our virtual event as well. You could also sponsor meetups, right? You could sponsor meetups. So our in-person meetup, you can sponsor venue, we give you a slot to speak. You can also sponsor food and drink, maybe other prizes for activities like hackathons or workshops or any other competitive activity, right? We also collaborate on events. So if you're hosting an event in your company or in your community and you want to collaborate with us, we're happy to bring members of the community alongside that event. And if any of these is interesting to you, you can reach out to us at info@aicamp.ai and we'll get in touch. And the next is what kind of events do we do? So we do virtual seminars every week. We also do meetups, like in-person meetups and workshops across the world. And this is the London team. So the London team is in charge of this 7 days immersive study challenge, right? Today is day 6, and that's me, Sam Adekunle, that's my name. I've got David on the call. David took us on the Meta Olama yesterday. I've also got Tibor. Tibor's also taking us on some cloud AI study plans. And Subash has been like very instructive in the comment session and also in the Q&A session. Is going to be leading to this session on advanced prompting. We also have Kevin. Kevin has been assisting in the back end as well, assisting with questions and also the setup of the program. And what's the program overview like? So what you learn in these 7 days is that there's a foundation and implementation mastery. Foundations, you learn the foundation state, then you learn the implementation state and the mastery use of LLM APIs. So we try to do like a basic level of all of the LLMs that are on the market, like the popular LLMs on the market, right? And try to do like a comparative analysis or what you get to like learn better, which one is better based on the use case you're using it for. So that's what we've been doing since 27th of December. And what are the tools we've been using or we've come across? We've come across Google Colab, Olama, Bedrock, Gemini, OpenAI, and IDX. So IDX has been like a virtual work environment for the cloud LLMs. And we've used Olama and CLI, the local CLI for the open source LLMs. So what is the format like? The format is like daily 30-minute sessions at 6 p.m. GMT. So 6 p.m. GMT, that's London time, and some practice and live coding. So we do live demos, you watch, you ask questions, and get in touch. Yeah, so this is what our roadmap looks like. Day 1, that's 27th of December, we started with foundations and AI and ML fundamentals, explaining what LLM is under the hood. On day 2, we talked about cloud AI using AWS Bedrock and cloud integration. So how do you generate APIs from AWS Bedrock. How do you create your IAMs and also get activate all of the LLMs on their platform, and also for cloud integration as well. On day 3, we talked about the multimodality of Gemini. That's Google's API, Google's LLM. We talked about the mixed data types, how you can use text, how you can use images, how you can use audio, or other options. I think we dwell mostly on text and images, and we're able to prompt them on IDX. And on day 4, we focused on OpenAI API Assistant. We talked about how you go around the OpenAI ecosystem in terms of API integration and how we make that work. Yesterday, we focused on local LLMs, OLAMA setup, and the model optimization and local deployment. Got a lot of questions around, how do you optimize? We also talked about speed, about how the speed of the LLM, of the local LLM, of the open source LLM is dependent on the device you're using or the level of compute you've got. And today, we're going to be talking about prompting. So we're talking about mastering techniques and best practices and building prototypes. So prompting, mostly advanced prompting, basic prompting and advanced prompting. So all of our learnings are documented on our Canvas. So we have a public Canvas on Slack. We also have a Canvas. We also have on GitHub README, where we put all of the learnings, all of the tasks, all of the submission, all of the assignment we want you to do. So also you get to see resources you can use for follow-on learning, which are really important. So like I said, these sessions are like touch points. They are not, we can't teach you everything on LLMs or OpenAI Cloud AI or OpenAI LLM. For example, if you want to do like an Amazon AWS AI practitioner course, you have to prepare nothing less than a week or 2 weeks for the class. And this is just 7 days, and we're bringing everything together. So it's just like a touch point, and we expect you to go, read more and learn more about the ecosystem to know what you want to do with it. So over the course of these 7 days, the Slack channel is open. You can ask questions. It's a crowdsourced environment, like a community crowdsourced environment. You can ask questions. Someone's going to answer you and also guide you through the process. And another important thing is that we are also recording this session. So sessions are recorded. We've created like a playlist on YouTube, and we're sharing the playlist every day on Slack and also on the GitHub README file. Yeah, so tomorrow is going to be a very important day. We're going to be doing project demos and knowledge share, and also feature learning part. So you've been doing some you've been making some progress. You've been sharing your project highlight on LinkedIn. I've seen a couple of mention. I've reposted them, I've commented on them, which are really wonderful. We're also going to be giving out a prize to the winner of the immersion roadmap. We're also thinking of doing a certification. That's possible to just share like a brief certificate to say, oh, you participate, like participation certification for being a part of it. So that's something that you can also share on LinkedIn, and also that could be your first win, first win for 2025, right? So that's an amazing opportunity to do that. So finally, I'll just run through the housekeeping as fast as I can. So like I said, 6 p.m. GMT, 30 minutes, please arrive 5 minutes early. I know this won't be relevant from tomorrow anymore. Yeah, so tools ready, Python, Google account, Slack workspace, and I know some people joined yesterday, so this is just an important overview, just to help them understand how far we've come. And communications, so questions are in Slack channel, session recording are available, and resources are shared post-session. So after today's session, you can ask question in the Q&A or ask question in the chat, raise your hands, and we'll call you up to talk, to share your question, and we'll be able to answer your questions. So without further ado, this would be like a great segue to call up Subhash up on stage to come share and talk about prompting. Welcome, Subhash.
All right. Thank you so much. And Thanks for the brief introduction, Alex. Sam. So, I hope everybody is there, active. So today is like we touched on a lot of things. I think Sam has covered uh, the flow. Today is like understanding the advanced prompting. So you might be using prompting in a way that with ChatGPT, but here I'm going to show that we will be touching on the advanced prompting. What could be the level of promptings we can do? We Some people might be in the level 0, some people might be in the level 1. But today I'll touch upon three key prompting techniques. You can use it in a way that you can get more precise, more better results from AI or LLMs. How do you talk to the LLM? So keep this in mind, and we will go with the next slide, understanding the um, agenda for today. So agenda for today is like only 5 things in short. Like, what's prompt engineering? I'll touch upon what's prompt engineering. Let's delve into what's the basics of that, and we will go into prompting formulas. Not perfect formulas, but we will touch on the formulas, what people use, how people are using, and we will go into the techniques. I'll show you a demo, and decoding the prompting myths, actually. So there is many outs in the internet. You see that people say that this is the best practice, or this is how you have to use. But I'll decode a couple of things, and I'll show you that what's a better way to use it, and the future of prompting, what it looks like. So with that, I'll keep your chat window active, and I'll ask you a question. Let's say you have a magic genie. Okay, yeah, in our childhood days, we hear about this Aladdin story or magic genie. So let's say you have a magic genie. What will you ask to the magic genie today? Just in short, if you have a magic genie today, just think like it's sitting next to you. So what will you will be asking? Just type your questions before I move to the next slide. Just anything. So what do you think? So think of like a magic genie is near to you. What will be the question you will be asking to the magic genie? So I want to see what's happening in your mind at this moment. So I'd like to ask for financial freedom. Okay. So how to have a peaceful world. Okay. Nvidia stocks. I think you might take a time machine to that to go back. Maybe, yeah. So winning lottery numbers. Yeah. What does it take to be an AI engineer? Okay, I think you have to attend lots of AI camp. Uh, so how can I make $1 billion in 3 years? Okay, I think that's my question as well. So why do you have a blue years? Okay, how long before we have super intelligence? I think that's a question to Sam Altman or Elon Musk. Anyways, so I just want to have this mindset, like we are, think of this magic genie. If you ask this kind of question, it's going to give you answers. Okay. But what if you ask something to do wrong, or something the magic genie does not do? You ask something and it does wrong. So this could happen with your prompting. If you don't prompt it right, it could go good or it could go bad. So that's where I want to bring this concept of magic genie into the picture, so you'll understand better that when I move to the next slide, so you'll understand better that what's really prompt engineering is. The prompt engineering, it's different to different people, but it's you can take it as like an art of how we communicate with an LLM. For developer group, what we are here, we can talk it as LLM, but for a general user group, we say that how do we communicate, the art of communicating with an AI. Okay, so the art of how we communicate with LLM is really the prompt engineering is. So when we talk about prompt engineering in a very big picture, from 5,000-foot view or a big picture view, how it looks like, you give a prompt, uh, a question, or it could be anything you want to do with LLM. So you are doing with ChatGPT and all these things, the same questions you're asking in the chat. So then it passed through the large language model. We touched upon LLM fundamentals in the day one. So you know a bit now that what's LLM means, and you're passing your prompt to the LLMs, then it generates a text output. But remember, when you give a wrong question, or when you don't give a right questions in a right format or right structure or a clear way, you are going to get the wrong answers, or you are going to be getting a different answers. So people call that as a hallucination. Sometimes it's from LLM, sometimes it's because of your prompt. Okay, so it all depends, like how do you prompt. So prompting is very important thing. Even you talk about AI agents, or even you talk about RAG or any architecture, you need to have a right prompt in place. It could be system prompt, it could be master prompt, whatever it is. um, you have to have that prompts in place very nicely, very clear, very structured, so that you get the right output from what you want. Okay, so before I get into the prompt, I want to show you a quick like how does the LLM works. We have touched in day one, but I want to show you in a graphical way that how does the LLM looks, what is the backend activity of the LLM. I think it's very important to understand that how in the backend LLM works. So for example, uh, note over here is an example on the top. AI will transform. I'm typing a I'm typing a prompt. AI will transform the. That's all. I don't know. So how LLM works? I think Sam has covered in initial call day one. Like it's based on the prediction. It has a transformer algorithm inside the LLM, which does a prediction based on the text. Okay, the next available text or next closely matched text. So you can see those things how it operates. Like you give this prompt, AI will transform. Let's say if you generate it, okay, so it's going to predict in a way that this is how it works in the backend. So there is always the prediction is based on the temperature, the based on certain level of probability um, within the text, within the data set which LLM has been trained on. So if you see the temperature is very important. If you see the temperature, if you increase or decrease the temperature, let's say you decrease the temperature, you get more accurate. And if you increase the temperature, it's like the probability will be more of brainstorming, more creativity way that it will try to do that. What are the possible option? You can see here, AI will transform the whole world, maybe the city or future. But if you come here, it'll be like the world or way. So what are the probabilities for this next word could be? So that's what you're seeing here. This is how it looks. This is how it looks like actual in the backend it works. So before going into prompt engineering, you should have a little idea of how it's actually working in the backend. So I want to give this quick view so that how it works in the backend. So AI will transform the world. So something like that, the words are predicted. So understand this basics. So understanding this basics, let's go back to the slide. So uh, so we understand what's prompt engineering, and it's simple. It's an art how we communicate. So going to the next step, the prompt engineering best practices. If you go across internet or anywhere you search or YouTube, people talking about like there is a formula, there is a framework. That set of components should be in your prompt. Even there is a fact like the best prompts will be like 21 words or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but I came across this somewhere earlier. So these are the components like roles, context, task, example, format, tone, and goals. These are the components within the prompt. Okay. But mostly what happens when you see outside is people always say that use all these formulas to make sure that your prompt is coming, but it is not true. The most important piece in the formula is this component contest. You have to be, I'll show you in upcoming slides. You will understand that why contest matters, why I made it in a bold color. So there are a couple of components you can include. Either there would be a situation where you need complete formula, or either there'll be a situation where you need only contest and task or example. So it all depends. I'll show you that how it works in a demo. So with this is a formula, but actually how this formula looks in the actual prompt. So that's very important to know. So if you see the basic prompt, when we incorporate this into a prompt, like let's say a role, this is a basic prompt. You are a senior AI engineer. Okay, so there is a basic prompt to guide a junior engineer who has recently joined, but he is new to, let's say he's trying to understand the tools. I've taken this prompt. The use case if you follow here today is mostly I'm trying to capture from past 5 days. We had a lot of trade-off questions I've seen in the chat, like IDE, IDX, or Visual Studio Code, or Copilot, Cursor AI. The most of the questions coming from understanding which tool to pick and all these things. So I taken that as an example and try to see that if I can fit into the prompt and show you demo here. So you guys can take this idea and use it for all your upcoming trade-off things. You can use it. So you can use it in that way. Um, so coming here, the basic prompt is like you are a senior AI engineer. That's a role. And contest is like a junior developer on your team is trying to decide between TensorFlow and PyTorch for a new deep learning project focused on image classification and object detection. Okay. So then it comes to task. So you're telling the task like explain the key difference between TensorFlow and PyTorch, focus on their strengths and weaknesses, and you're giving an example. You can compare their approaches to building and executing models. Okay. Then you're giving a format like keep your explanation concise and under 75 words. So I'll show you. When you get into the demo, you'll understand, but I'm trying to explain that what's this prompt. So how this formula is fitted into this prompt using a professional yet clear tone and overall goals. Okay, the goal is for the junior developer to have a clear understanding of main difference and help them choose the right framework. Okay, so this is a prompt and this is a formula. So let's see that if you hear about like the advanced prompting technique. Before going into advanced prompting technique, I want to make sure that you all might hear this one like one-shot prompting, few-shot prompting. So all these things you definitely should come across. Otherwise, go and search for it. What is one-shot? These are the basic things. Like if you see here, this prompt is really one-shot prompting. In one shot, you are getting all the information. What do you want? So that's one-shot prompting. If you, let's say in this prompt, okay, I'll show this prompt again, but in the demo, in this prompt, if you say that ask me questions if you need clarity from me, if you don't understand this prompt. Let's say if you're asking this, adding this to this prompt, what happens is it becomes like a few shot prompting. So in this prompt, it will not ask questions. So it will just drop what you asked, it will give you an answer. Okay. So going to the advanced prompting techniques, so few shot, one shot, all these things are very basic prompting techniques. So advanced prompting techniques, there are many, but today I just want to cover basically three prompting techniques. One is chain of thoughts, and one is a tree of thoughts, and one is self-consistency. Okay, so chain of thoughts, think this prompting technique is like chain of thoughts is like a train trip. Okay, you're taking a train from point A to point B, source to destination, and each stations in between are considered as steps. So chain of thoughts is like you've seen a one-shot prompting. So chain of thought is like you have a prompt which giving a step-by-step instruction, like a to-do list, do this, do this, do this. If first one is done, go for next. The second one is done, go for next. So so instead of asking for answer directly, like what you've seen in the earlier prompt, you'll be getting the step-by-step validation. It's a kind of little bit reasoning. Then tree of thoughts. So tree of thoughts is not a train trip. It's a road trip. You can take it as a road trip. Where you take a road trip, you will have a lot of crossroads or roundabouts when you take a road trip. So it's like having a map. You might have more time to take this route and go and see a sightseeing and come back to another route, or you might have a less time. It's all trade-offs again. So this is like an advanced version of chain of thoughts, but it's like a tree. Think of trees and branches. So you'll go all the things and validate. I'll show you in the demo. So you'll get to know in the demo. And self-consistency is a kind of self-critic. Whatever answer has been as an output you got from your prompt, it will self-critic, it will self-validate. So it's kind of mitigating the bias or debiasing certain things and reducing the hallucination. So this is one kind of technique. These are advanced prompting techniques we use. Okay, so let's go to the demo here now. So the demo part is very interesting. Where if you've been in the David's class yesterday, David shown a CLI version of installing Ollama, and on the top of Ollama, he installed Llama 3, I think. So here, what I did is I did the same approach, but in my laptop, and I created a kind of private GPT kind of environment. So I will not go through all these things. You reach out to us. I'll tell you how to do this. But this is a kind of private environment where I can install. I'm running Ollama, and I'm also running a Docker container in my laptop, where I created a kind of private GPT kind of environment. Okay, So in that, I have multiple models. I can switch models actually. So I have the smallest models, which I have installed, and I have a Llama 3.2 recent model, and I have yesterday I have like I was testing something on actually David's model in the graphical way. Okay, so this is a graphical way. I don't want to take you guys in the CLI. It's better to have it in a graphical. So you have to understand one thing. There is three types of approaching or developing GenAI applications. One is low code, one is pro code, and one is no code. Okay, so pro code is what David shown you yesterday. Okay, this you can consider as a low code or no code. Okay, this is a low code kind of environment where I try to develop. I did some backend programming codes on to make it work, but actually it's a kind of low code. It's not a no code, but it's a kind of low code where I uploaded a couple of models into it. I added Llama, Olama, and I have a Docker where this container is running. If you see, it's a local host where I'm hosting this private GPT. Okay, so it's privately in my laptop. It's not going outside. This is purposefully done for the demo. Okay, so let me open, like I have the prompting. I have the prompting here. So let's say you have what we are mostly doing in ChatGPT today is, so whatever I'm showing here. So you either use ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever is preferable for you. You can use any chat models available as a commercial model. ChatGPT is most popular, so you can use any. You can use it in. You might be using it. So you can try this in same, or you can reach out to understand that how I set up this, so we can give that code for you. But this is not in the syllabus, but I want to make it sure that to give a different taste of how to do it in a pro code and low code format. So I would say that if you're a beginner, try with a low code so that it's easier to understand. Then go with the pro code doing it. But pro code is very important. You should know how to do it. I'm a pro coder, but I love testing these things in a different way so that we understand the different how it works graphically, so you get the big picture, or you get the clarity of, okay, these are the things how it works. So getting here to our use case. So what we asked is, we had a junior engineer. He is confused with taking PyTorch or TensorFlow. All right. So let's say you're asking a question like PyTorch or TensorFlow, right? So if I type this thing just like this, so you could see that this is like a basic, very basic prompting. This could be, this is not one shot. You might need to streamline. So you just asked PyTorch or TensorFlow. It's giving too much of information. Okay, too much of information. Let's keep typing. You're not getting to the detail. So now I will apply the basic prompting. Okay, now I'll apply the basic prompting, which is actually I shown in the slide deck too. So I'm applying this basic prompting, which is actually telling that, which is actually, I have something enabled, so it will automatically do something on my prompting. So a junior developer on my team is trying to decide between TensorFlow and PyTorch. The same story, I put it in the prompt. So let me put that basic prompting, which is having that formula. So now it's, I stopped it here. Actually, I stopped it here and started putting this. So now, if you see, I have given very clearly like 75 words. So if you see it, this should be within 75 or 75, around 75. So it is trying to give a information that for image classification, because this project, this junior engineer is trying to cover is basically image classification and object detection. Okay. So if you see here, for image classification and object detection, consider the following key difference. So it's trying to give a difference of each. Okay. And it's giving you a kind of a broad idea that choose TensorFlow if you need. It's not giving you an answer. So it's giving you an idea that if you go in this path, you will get it this, if not this. So now let's go to chain of thoughts prompting. So let me stop here because I will show you that the difference between this is a basic prompting with applying all the formula, okay, components, and this is chain of thought prompting. Okay, I'm breaking down. Okay, I'm breaking down. If you see chain of thought prompting, as I said, it's a step-by-step instruction, and we are giving kind of to-do list like do this and this and this, and give me this. Okay, so it's a step-by-step approach. And if you see here, I made certain things in bold, so it will understand that certain things should be come out of in bold. So that's by default from this model. Is That's smart to understand, but that doesn't matter. But you have to understand these two things. So this is actual basic prompt, and this is a little bit advanced prompt. A little bit of reasoning will be start happening here. I'm still keeping the vocabularies and jargons low so that everybody understand. I don't want to put a lot of things like we are actually simulating this LLM model, which is 3.2 Llama, to get into more details, more specific details. So now, if you see, there will be a different of output. I'll I'll input this one. You'll see there will be a different of output from this prompt to this prompt. Okay, so here it's giving a recommendation because it's going through step by step. It's asking that you are a senior AI engineer, TensorFlow and explaining TensorFlow and PyTorch to junior engineer. Use step by step approach to highlight their key difference. Okay, I'm saying that in recommendation, when each framework a better choice, when is each framework a better choice? I'm asking a question. So I'll do a step-by-step analysis and I'll provide that, okay, this is your recommendation. Use TensorFlow when you're working in large scale. Still, it's giving like, if use TensorFlow for this or PyTorch for this. So I'm going for a tree of thoughts. Now we are done a train journey. Let's go for the road trip. That's tree of thoughts where multiple crossroads will be there, as I said, right? So I'm saying that I'm using a research here. I'm asking to do a research. Okay, there'll be multiple crossroads. I'm asking to do a research and come up with a clarity of output. So let's see what's coming out from the. This is actually tree of thoughts. Okay, so if you see here, so it's doing a more narrow down details of what we asked for. The prompt is small. If you compare to this and this, still the prompt size is small, but the information what it's getting out is very precise and very clear that for development what should be used and why TensorFlow is suitable for production environment and why PyTorch production, but also suitable for production, but requires more manual effects in managing models. For research, what you should pick, because we haven't mentioned. So let's say if I go back and say that this is for production, it will change. It will change the output. This is for production. Okay, so if I say this, it will change the output. Still, it will say that better suited for large scale tensor deployment. So I would say here, like this is for production. So tell me which one I should pick for production deployment. Give me only one option. Let's say I'm just a little bit changing the contest. Okay, so why I said contest is very important. Before I get the output, I'll show you something. So if you see, the starting line and ending lines of the prompt will not be changed in chain of thoughts or tree of thoughts. What has changed is the in between of sandwich actually. So the actual contest is changed. If you see the last lines like tone, how should be, goal it skipped because I didn't use the goal in second. But if you see the first line and last lines will be same, but in between the contest is very important. If you don't have this and this, fine, still works. But if you are not clear with the contest, still your output is going to be messy. Okay, so here I got the answer. Okay, if you need a deployment in production, I would recommend TensorFlow due to its strong support. So it does a research, do a tree of thoughts, like taking a Google map kind of when you are in a road trip, take the map, see if this route is shorter or this route is shorter. So it does all the things. You've seen that graphics, how LLM works in the backend, right? So it does all the things, all the predictability, and find out what's the best for the given input prompt. Okay, so now let's go to the third one. Like I recollect this one, go back to this and recollect your memory. We seen chain of thoughts and we see tree of thoughts. Self consistency. It's a very important because this is one level above. So this think like one level above. Like you have one prompt, but it will generate multiple responses. And on that multiple responses, what are the things are keep repeating and consistently came across? It will take that as your solid response. So what we are going to do is like we go back and we use this prompt, which is self reflection prompt. Okay, so it's like uh, consistency, self consistency, self reflection, all are same, mostly same. So based on above all recommendation. So I'm cutting through some noise and I'm saying that going because this is we talked about contest window 2 days back or yesterday. So I want to use this prompt as an example of that contest window because this is a large model, largest model I have downloaded and using in my system. So it has a larger contest window. So what happens here is I'm asking to go back and read all my history and say that now critique your own advice, that self-reflection, and strongly justify detailed why. Show me the trade-off, make it in a table, and provide me a revised explanation on which framework he should pick. So I little bit tweaked here because he means he should able to understand from the context of the past history. Just one framework for his project focused on image classification or object detection. Under 75 words, that's even more concise and impactful. Okay, so make it more concise and impactful. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm asking in a table certain things I'm adding. So I'm asking in a table. Okay, and I'm saying he means it should understand the context based on its old the past chats. Okay, and it's doing kind of here's you could how you could critique your own device advice. So 1 second. So your task is to output to make a decision by him. So I'm not saying junior engineer. Let's see. Okay, so it's trying to give a critic like my previous advice or bias towards TensorFlow deployment and capabilities, but PyTorch flexibility is in experimentation. So it's giving like so it's giving something like for your project focused on image classification or object detection, I recommend using PyTorch. Okay, so it's dynamic computation graph why. So it's explaining why, and it's coming up with the flexible answering that flexibility and better scalability in all these things as a why clearly, and also it's giving an advice based on its critics like don't settle for a frameworks that's only good for a deployment. So choose one that lets you build and iterate on your project quickly and effectively. So if you see this, there is a lot of change for each and every output based on your prompt. So it all depends. So let's say you, if there is something I missed asking, if you're still, I will show you in the next slide, but I'm trying to show you here the demo. Like if you still have something, a blind spot, you need to check with the Llama itself. You are the AI expert, right? This is called role-based prompting. Okay, so now you are assigning a role. Tell me, uh, tell me what I missed or what you missed about. Okay, so so it gives an additional letter. This gives us a create. This is kind of brainstorming. Okay, it goes beyond your imagination. Something you might missed. So it explains a detail like what are the things you missed, and what are the other factors you need to consider. So this is an example. Okay, this is an example. So you can keep on going. So if you see, these are all one shot, right? These are all, again, it goes into basics. So a prompting technique is a combination of multiple techniques sometimes. One shot will be your chain of thought, and you add more questions to it. It becomes a few shot prompting. So now this one shot prompting and becomes a few shot prompting, right? Then now again, if you ask like in step by step, if you ask step by step, it becomes a chain of prompting. So this is back and forth. You have to do a lot of things to achieve what you want. So this applies to even if you use ChatGPT, Gemini, or Mistral, whatever LLM or chat models you're using. Okay, so far this is a short demo, but I want to quickly cover up the prompting myths and close it off this session for the questions. So I think that should be helpful, but keep coming up with your questions in the end of the session. I can help you answer that, and team is there to help you if you want to have questions now. So, very important topic is like we talk about prompting, we talk about formulas, we talk about best practices, but I see a lot of things happening outside is like myths. Okay, people, we have to demystify or debunk the myths first. Very importantly, that's uh, a clear task to do before getting into prompt, because that should be set in the mind very clearly. Like myths are like role prompting. Like I said, like you are an AI engineering expert, something like that, right? That's a persona based or role prompting. So everybody thinks like everybody starts their prompting like act as a act as this guy, act as the guy. It is not mandatory. It is not required. It is not that important that role prompting should be done for each and every prompting. It depends on the situation. It depends on your task, what you want to achieve. So role prompting is not always effective. For example, there was a study given like there was a role prompting done that give me an output, tell me about this and this and this as a clever, and there was another prompt like tell me this and this and this, like you are an idiot. So what happened is the idiot answer output was so clear, so perfect. The clever answer was not good. So, so what happened is when they assign the role prompting for certain things, it works, and for certain use cases, it doesn't work in a better way. So you have to test it out. Okay, role prompting when you want to narrow down. Let's say you are testing some legal document. For example, if you're testing a legal document, you want to summarize a legal document. Their role prompting works. Act as a legal advisor. Their role prompting works, but not like for certain use case like TensorFlow. Which one I need to pick, TensorFlow or PyTorch? Okay, you are an AI expert. We are not specifying AI expert could be the broader one, right? So maybe works, may not be works, but uh, there are certain situations. So always follow the formula. I would say no. You should not follow all the components in the formula. You should not follow the formula all the times. It's not one size fits the all. Sometimes you don't require formula at all. You can write it like generally what you think, like asking a question to the opposite person without formula. If you bring in formula, it's like learning a grammar and speaking in English. So it becomes very complicated sometimes. So don't take it in that way. So formula is not always necessary. So it is necessary when you do it in a production or when you do it in kind of very serious long use cases, then it's required. So longer prompts is always better, and not really shorter prompts. I shown you like I given a long prompt, but another in chain of thoughts, I usually chain of thought prompts or tree of thought prompts or bigger prompts usually, but I try to simplify it today and see that how it works. So I tested it, it worked. So I also hear that longer prompts is not always the better. You can even achieve your what you want with the shorter prompts. So how, whatever explained is the approach actually. So most importantly, when you type a prompt, when you do advanced prompting or basic prompting, anything, make sure that you have a clear thinking, what you want to achieve, right? What's your end goal looks like, what really you want to achieve. Okay, have an end goal in the mind and be clear with your task. So when you type something, understand that what task it's actually you are prompting for. Is it a research or it's a summary or it's an analysis? What's that you are exactly doing? So have a 1 second pause and think about it. Otherwise, what happens is even in so I'm covering both like ChatGPT personal use and always in also on the other side, like always you'll be using for the GenAI developments purpose, right? So in both the cases, make sure that what task it is. Otherwise, what happens? You keep on giving a wrong prompt. So because of the wrong prompt, you will get a wrong output. Okay. So it's not about data within the LLM will hallucinate. It's also because of your prompt. So always remember that AI is smarter when your prompt is smarter. Otherwise, you will get a garbage in, you'll get a garbage out. So tips from my side, I think I have covered it in overall, but provide a clear and relevant context. The context matter. Remove the goal, task, example, all these things fine, but context subset is task actually. Contest, what is that exactly you want? So have the end goal in the mind. Start simple and iterate. I shown an example, but you can still start simple. Like what's first example I shown like PyTorch or TensorFlow, a question mark, right? then you can make it precise. Okay, can you be very precise? This is my use case, this is my situation. Can you answer me in one line, or like 10 words or 15 words? It will give you an answer or something like that. Okay, ask a question to find a blind spot. So I shown you that what is missing, what I have missed. So I shown that blind spot. These are the tips and tricks which basically I use, and I see people are using it. Use natural language, like talking to like a person, so you'll get more interaction. Not always to you to have to be polite, thanks, welcome. You don't want to be like that. A model sometimes works, but you don't want to be like, thank you so much, I appreciate. Sometimes it works. You can say that, yes, I liked it. There is one trick, like I liked it, but I rate you like 2 out of 10. So it is not 10 out of 10. Can you make 9 out of 10? So then it'll do it better. So there are techniques out there, but you should know the frameworks. You should know the proper standard approach, like chain of thoughts. Those kind of things are very important to develop a production. The other techniques I'm sharing now is like using in your chat GPT for a personal use. So future of prompting. So coming to the last slide, AI assisted prompt generation. So now whatever I shown, some prompts I generated from ChatGPT. So because I written a long, then I asked to concise it. But I also came across this Prompt Perfect. There is a tool called Prompt Perfect. Claude has released. So you can do, but anything you do with automated prompting, like you give an idea, it will create a prompt for you. But that again needs a clear thinking, a clear context from you to create a prompt. Otherwise, the prompt will be something. So now what happens is you're giving a prompt, you're getting an output. There'll be a kind of AI prompt assisted tool. You'll be giving an idea, then it will convert into prompt. You'll apply to an LLM. So that's going to happen. And it's becoming a de facto standard for low code and no code. For this, I didn't use prompt to create this, but there are many tools coming out. Like it's like you just use prompt to create the tool, to create an application, web stack, or whatever you want, whatever the low code tool can do. So there are a lot of things are coming in. So for even AI, I came across one of the, like, you have a super AI, super agent, where you enter the prompt, it'll create the sub agents. So the prompt is becoming somewhere a very important piece in the Gen AI development. And lastly, so how do, this is my view, like there'll be a query interface. All this application will be abstracted. There will be only query interface. All of us, we will be at some point, maybe in 2030 or something, we will be touching up from a prompt point of view. We will be communicating with the natural language. There in Copilot, I think there is a language, lots of languages coming in. In Meta, you can type in like 16, 17 language. I don't know, but we need to check. But there are a lot of native languages you can use to prompt the LLM and get the output. So uh, the the human language is going to becoming like a programming language, and prompting is the prompt engineering is the base of all these things. So with that, I need to close the session for today and open this Q&A, and that's from my side. Thank you so much. So I open up for the questions now. Give me a second.
Hi, thanks, Subhash. That was great. Maybe we'll give people a bit of time to time in their
Sure.
questions. But to start off with, I think Arunav has an interesting question. Well, actually two. So I'll read them out to you so it's easier for you.
Yeah.
First question is, does the advanced prompting techniques like COT or TOT, does that make the response more accurate, or is it just to make the steps come out for the output? That's the first question. Second question again is, does advanced prompting techniques nullify temperature? Yeah, these two.
So okay, two questions. Let me start with the first question. So advanced prompting techniques like COT, means chain of thoughts, and tree of thoughts, right? So these are techniques to improve more reasoning kind of ability. It's, of course, it's not efficient in a way that it will more take more tokens and all these things, but from an accuracy point of view, there is an improved accuracy. Okay, that's why these approaches came into the picture. Okay, but you have to be mindful that it depends on two factors based on what I know. Is one is the context window of the LLM. Okay, that is one factor. And the second is Second is you have to think from a token point of view. Okay, so it gives accuracy, but you have to take these factors into consideration. One prompt today, I shown one couple of prompts, but think of like 100 people working in a company for a specific project. They use it like 100 prompts every day. It will be bigger actually. So it to the answer straight, yes, it will improve the accuracy. What's the second question?
I'll just repeat the second question.
Mhm.
So he's asking, Arnav asking again, does advanced prompting techniques, does it nullify high temperature and randomness or not? Yeah, I think Tibor has given some input, but maybe we can hear your perspective.
The temperature point of view, you can key in the temperature point of view. That's where you have to prompt it like make it. The temperature is something is you have to set it. Okay, either via you have to instruct via a prompt in a way that okay, make sure that it's well accurate, 100% accurate, relevant to this and this and this. Then the temperature, or give a creative answer. So temperature, if you see the temperature, the probability is like if you go zero, okay, if you go zero, it'll provide more accurate and more accurate answer. If you go to the 5, 0 is more accurate answer kind of thing. You were very specific. When you go to the 5, what happens is it's like a creativity. It brainstorms, it gives multiple options. So in the prompt you can add so that you get the right answer. But something like temperature, something like this AI Studio, or if you're using AI Studio or all these things, you can definitely set the temperature there. It will apply for all your response from the LLM, not specific prompt, actually. Prompting is an abstraction layer, okay? Temperature is tied to your LLM. So when you set a temperature, it will apply to all your response, what you get from the LLM. Okay, next question is like,
Cool. Rajesh is asking,
I think
is
you raised
there
the hand.
a
Yeah.
way to create a prompt library where customers can pick what they commonly look for in an organization?
Yes, there are tools. There you can go out and check. I don't want to mention the tool's name, but there is a prompt library. Specific tools are coming out. They are in market. It's very important when you have an. I've seen in companies like when they have an LLM ops kind of environment, or when they have a center of excellence teams, they have this kind of prompt library. As by de facto, they have it. That's very mandatory. Otherwise, it will be a messy. Yeah, Rekha.
Hi, Subhash. My question is around like fine tuning and prompt engineering in terms of like the accuracy of the information that we can get. So I'm just thinking like if we go ahead and fine tune a model to something more specific of what we want, is it we go with that approach and then not do prompt engineering, or we actually think of prompt engineering first and then avoid fine tuning just because of how it is like costly and etc. So just want to
Yeah.
compare those two things in terms of the use cases.
Excellent question. This comes in couple of times in my actual use cases. So fine tuning. So how do we decide that? How do we make a trade-off that a model to be fine tuned for a specific use case in a company, right? In an organization. So what we usually do is we take a model, we test it by using prompting, right? We prompt it and we see that what's the response. We give a couple of techniques and see. This is one approach. There are multiple approaches to it, but immediately jumping onto fine tuning is not a good idea in any situation. There are models in Hugging Face, small models, domain specific models. We have to see, we have to take it, we have to test it, and by using all these techniques and see that if you're getting most preferable answers or most accurate answers or less biased answers or less hallucination, then we should able to do it. If we're able to achieve 60%, 70% accuracy, okay, we have to have a KPIs to measure it. Let's say 60, 70% of accuracy, fine. Then you use RAG kind of architecture in the backend to make it like 80%, 90% accuracy. Okay, you really don't need to fine tune it. Fine tuning is a bit costlier approach until unless it's needed, then do it. Otherwise, if it's a broader use case, then it case by case. If it's a broader use case, definitely fine tuning will work. But before delving into fine tuning, you have to make sure that is it what to do fine tuning. Is it really fine tuning is necessary? And to your question, in another angle, fine tuning will definitely help, because fine tuning, you are cutting out some data and you are adding some data, definitely help. You are adding layers to the LLM models, definitely help. You are adding data sets, relevant data set, definitely. But fine tuning is like, you have to be, it's a trade-off, again, case by case. But I would say that start with prompting, then understand that for each whatever techniques you use, you are getting almost all like 30-20% only accurate output. Then you have to take that model, you have to see that what are the data set has to be added and fine tune it and use the prompting techniques again. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And would you say RAG is a type of prompting?
RAG is a kind of prompting, but RAG is an architecture approach or methodology we use. But some people call, technically RAG is also a kind of prompting people used to call, but not actually. But
okay, yeah, okay, thank you.
I think Prakash has his hand up.
Is there answer? Okay.
Hey, Subhash. Thank you for the session today. I have one question. So, what is the trade-off between zero shot versus few shot for any, for example, for any given prompt? How do we, design that particular prompt to, to match any particular scenario we are trying to prompt and get a response for?
In any time when you're using ChatGPT, you ask some questions, you never get the answer. Now ChatGPTs are better, O1, O3 is good. But earlier time, when you use ChatGPT, you ask a question, it will give you some answer, but it will not get you to the right core crux of what you want, correct? So what happens, you again ask some question. Okay, so one-shot prompting is like you give all the details as much as possible. So you guide the LLM. So prompting is guiding the LLM. Okay, all these techniques is to help LLM to better make the output as what you need. Okay, so one shots, maybe you can achieve mostly you can achieve in one shots. What happens in some use cases is like you have to go deeper and deeper and deeper, because sometimes the models will not understand. Because think of like a big library. Okay, what happens is you are a big library, but you have only one librarian. You are going and asking to the librarian, where is that book? What's the topic of that book? In that specific topic, what's that thing they discuss? You will go read the book, but you have to ask multiple questions to better understand what has been written in the book, or you have to ask him a better place that where is that book actually. You have to go and search for it. You have to do few shots. So one shot is very rare. Maybe in reasoning models, one shot is making it more possible. But see, it's a combination of technique. You even doesn't know that you are using chain of thought prompting. Okay, but you are using it. So that's what I want to clarify, that you might be starting with one shot, but you entered into few shots without knowing. So it depends on the situation, what questions you ask.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Subhash.
Welcome.
Subhash, there's a big
Question.
I'm not sure if you can address it now, but there's quite a few requests for you to show how you set up the Docker container and CLI, as like how you've done, I think with WebUI.
That's okay.
Yeah, so Rajesh and Prakash are asking for it, but maybe you can send the instructions or something.
Yeah, I'll send the instruction. I'll send the instruction in the group channel. It's a very simple way of doing it, but I'm using it for my local because I don't have subscription for anything. But you have to be very careful that it will eat your, if you have a larger model running, it will eat your resources in the backend. So you have to be very careful. But I use PI, Microsoft PI, which is so you have to understand three things. When it comes to large language model, it's also, there is a domain language models. There is also a small language models. So in laptops, it's always better to use small language models like PI, Llama 3.2, small billion parameters like 9 billion parameters, or even 3 billion, 1 billion parameters are there in Hugging Face. So you can use that. Okay. So I can send that, but be careful that you have to be having that resources in the backend. Otherwise, you will be coming up with, Subhash, it's not working. It's not. So be careful with that, because I had that problem that I'm running too many things. So it crashed your system. Sure.
I think maybe if you can send the configuration to, then I'll try to see if we can match it. Yeah.
It's super easy. It's super easy. Three things. One is three-step process. One is Ollama, you have to install. Then you have a Docker desktop installed. Then you have to run a couple of commands. That's all. I'll send you that.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the benefit of doing this compared with running Olama from the terminal? Benefit of Megan. What's benefit of doing this compared with running Olama from from the terminal? I ran in terminal. Okay, the terminal CLI. Nothing different. I want to show because we've been in 4 days like showing in CLI. I really want to show a graphical thing. That's what whenever you develop generative AI application, you might fall into this one. Either you will be doing a pro code, or either in some situation you might be using a low code. So you have to understand both the things very clearly. So most of the questions past 5 days is trade-off. So use the ChatGPT for the trade-off.
Just one quick question. I'm just trying to understand the difference between chain of thought and tree of thought. So let's say I ask a question and I ask follow-up questions on the same topic. So that is essentially I'm going from one shot to few shots.
Yeah.
This is essentially chain of thought, right? Because I'm kind of I'm asking deeper and deeper questions on the same topic. Can I think of it as a chain of thought? Let's say I want to find about restaurants in my city, right? And then let's say I want to find about Indian restaurants in the same city. Let's say I want to find I go deeper and deeper. So that's basically, I'm going into the same topic more deeper. So that could be considered like a chain of thought, right?
Kind of, but not really. That is actually few shots. Okay. That's actually, you're going deeper and deeper. That's actually few shots. Okay. Because you're trying to find the answers. But chain of thought is like, it's like it comes in your agentic developments. Okay. When you go with AI agent development, this will be, sorry to add more jargons here, but it comes in AI agentic development because you give step 1, do this. If step 1 is done, do the second step. If these 2 steps are done, tell me what is to be done. So this is a chain of thought. You are having a chain kind of, it's like a waterfall method. Okay. Think of like a waterfall method.
Basically it's sequential, but then you're saying it can be, if I start with one prompt and if I put that all my task in a sequential, that would be chain of thought, or I can ask them in different prompts, but they could all be sequential. That would still be considered chain of thought, right? Whether I ask in one prompt or if I ask in a few prompts, but let's say they are one after the other, then that would be chain of thought, right?
Yeah, but chain of thought, usually you combine and give it as a one prompt, okay, one shot prompt, so that it'll do a step by step and will finally give you some answer. Then if you start asking questions from the chain of thought, that becomes like a few shot prompting. Okay, so many doesn't know that it is really kind of grammar. Okay, to speak English, you don't know to always remember the grammar, but it's always good to know the grammar a little bit, so that you know where to use what. How do you speak with the grammar is a technique. I'm talking about this prompting technique. Okay. Then tree of thoughts comes into. Tree of thoughts is mostly used for brainstorming. You go do multiple possibilities. Chain of thought is one possibility. Okay. Tree of thought is like you have multiple possibilities. You'll go and check, like, think of like you're in a highway, multiple crossroads are coming in. You have a Google map. You need to reach fast. So you will take a Google map and see that which one is shorter distance. You click on the map and see that which one is shorter distance. So that's tree of thought. Chain of thought is like taking a train journey, starting on a source, and on the destination you have multiple stations. So each and every station you are collecting something and you're reaching your destination.
So let's say if I had to give a prompt, let's say I'm in San Francisco and I'm trying to evaluate whether I want to go to Italian restaurant or let's say Indian restaurant, right? So that if I'm proposing 2 answers to 2 of these questions, that can be considered tree of thought, because essentially now the LLM has to give me answers for these 2 options that I provided to it.
Yeah. So even you can do that. Even you can do that in chain of thought also. But chain of thought is when you do a tree of thought, you get a solid answer. If you see that output I shown, you get a solid answer. Chain of thought will give, okay, you taken station A, B, C, D, and you got this and this and this. Okay. And in tree of thought, you went on this right side crossroad, then you taken left. Then I think the best is you take a left and go straight.
So it's like you're giving more than one option and you're looking at the pros and cons of each of the options and it gives you a recommendation, right? So that's
it's like a brainstorming. Yes, it's like a brainstorming. You brainstorm it, mindstorm or brainstorm, but we can't say LLM has a mind, but it's kind of brainstorming. Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. I think did all these questions have been answered? we can take another 1 or 2 questions max, then we can drop off. Then we can connect offline as well. Yeah.
Seems pretty much covered.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I
So
think
you got the basics.
Someone
Yep.
asked a question about the submission of the progress report. When is the deadline?
Progress report.
Yeah, so the form we put on the chat on Slack. So you can submit your progress report today. I think
Yeah.
we can still take some
Oh yeah, yeah. Okay.
up until tomorrow morning, because that's when we review. Then we'll have the final. Tomorrow is the final day. That's where we pick the best submission, and also do like a proper review of everyone submission. So I would say everyone coming around tomorrow, be prepared to share something, your progress. We give you about 5 minutes to come on up on stage to share your progress. We don't expect everyone to have a progress to share, because some people joined late. But if you have a progress to share, it can be a live demo, it can be in form of presentation. We'll call you up on stage, and you can also get more feedback from the rest of the community.
That's right.
Yep. So if there's no more question, I think we can wrap up the recording, and we can call it a day, and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
More. Yeah.
Time.
Take care. Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.